If you're struggling with your thoughts, if you have some fear, some worry, some doubt going on, just stop for a second and ask yourself, what am I grateful for? So I like to write those things down in my journal. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Champion Life podcast. As you know, I'm Curt Tucker. I'm so excited for this episode today as we're going to talk about how to win your morning so you can win your day. Do you ever think about how some of the most successful people, whether that's in life, that's in marriage, that's in business, are able to get so much more done on a daily basis, how they're able to have so much more peace. The people that they just seem to like have it all together. They just seem to be like, man, does anything faze those people, right? And I believe that it is 100% foundationally built upon how they start their day. So today in this episode, I'm going to share with you some of the things that I've found that have helped me out the most, but also some of the most successful people that I've ever studied in the last 15 years of me studying leadership, self-development, and all those different things. So I want to encourage you, hang on to this one. If you're driving, take some mental notes. If you're watching this video, get a journal out because you're going to want to write some of these things down that you can implement into your life one away. And here's the really cool thing about these top 10 strategies is that even if you just implement one or two on a daily basis, I 100% know that this will have an impact on your life. Because here's the deal, is our lives are built by our days. What we do day in and day out matters. And so what I've found over the years is that, when we are able to get our day started right, that is what will impact our day being an absolute success. Because here's what I found. Have you ever felt yourself or saw yourself waking up and immediately you begin to worry? Right? All the different things that you have to do that day, the bills that you have to pay, the kids that you need to get to certain places, the business meeting, different things that are weighing on your mind, right? And as I totally believe, your mindset going into every single day, and another word for mindset is direction of focus. Your mindset each and every day is going to absolutely determine how that day turns out. So many times when we wake up and we have fear, we have worry, we have doubt, we have all these different emotions already flowing. I was speaking with a guy the other day and he said, man, the moment that I wake up, even before my eyes open, I feel anxious. And we began to talk about that. And many times it's because you're thinking about all the things that you have to do that day. And so what I hope that the next 30 minutes of you tuning in here with me will do for you is it will lay a foundation for your day so that you can have more success, so that you can ultimately win your day. Because that's what the Champion Life is all about, guys, right? It's about helping you win in every single area of your life. And I heard a quote one time, or more of a question that says this: how high can you build a skyscraper? Think about that for a second. Like, you see these skyscrapers, right? If you go to New York City, last year I had the opportunity to take my daughter, Carly, who is 16. And I said, hey, Carly, daddy-daughter date, right? Where do you want to go? Because typically we like to go to like a Panera or go have coffee at Starbucks. And that's just my way of being able to spend some time with my daughter, especially for us dads, right? We're busy. We're out there grinding, trying to build the business or work in our career and all the different things. And sometimes we got to slow down and schedule our kids into our week. And so she said, hey, Dad, what I would really love to do is I love to go to New York City. And I thought, man, like, okay. So we began to talk about it. We began to dream about it. We began to talk about what that would be like. And finally, we set a date, because remember, if it's on your calendar, it's important. If it's not on your calendar, it's not. So, scheduling these things in, and we fly into New York City. It's a one-day trip. We get up early. We're flying an early morning flight out. We've got the whole day planned. It's going to be incredible. And just flying into New York City, and immediately you begin to see some of these massive skyscrapers, the World Trade Center, and just all these different things. And these buildings are just absolutely incredible. And you see how high they are. And one day I heard a person ask that question, how high can you build a skyscraper? And I began to think of all these different things, and they gave the most simplest answer. And the answer was this, friends, is they said, as high as the foundation will withstand. Think about that for a second. How important is your foundation to everything in life, right? How important is the foundation to the home that you live in? If you went out and you built a brand new home right now, that would be one of the most important things in your home that you would want to focus on, is that you would have a solid foundation. If you go to buy a home today and they do an inspection, that's one of the first things that they're going to look at is there any cracks in that foundation? And so as you look at your day, as you look at going into each day of your life, knowing that your lives are built by your days, so much of your success is going to be, just upon how that day went. And we know that every single morning, it's all about how we get started. Know that your mornings are foundational. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to give you my top 10 ways. Remember, you don't have to implement all 10 of these. You may just pick one or two that are like, I need to start doing that more, because that's where I was when I first began on this journey of laying down a morning routine that could serve me and help me get on point. Because, if you're busy like me, and, I think about as I'm going about life with my wife, Rachel, and our 4 kids and multiple businesses and all those different things, that the moment that I wake up, at 5 a.m. And that's just for me. I'm an early morning riser. For you, you may get up at 6, 7, and it doesn't matter what time you get up. This morning routine works because it's not about what time you get up. I see some people, they get trapped there, where they can't, it's like, well, what if I don't get up early? It doesn't matter. It's more about the time that you invest in yourself in the morning when you rise, regardless of whether you wake up at 5, 6, 7, whatever. But when you lay this foundation and you begin to implement some of these strategies, if you will see it be an absolute game changer. So, and you may already be doing some of these things. Now, for me, guys, one of the things that is foundational in my life is my faith, right? It is so important for me to wake up every single morning and have that quiet time. So one of the things that I started doing, because a great day, and I'll talk about this in a later episode as I talk about what I call my 4 quarters, but a great day starts the night before. And so one of the things that I do is I turn my phone on airplane mode, and that was hard for me to do at first because we have kids, right? And they're in their teens. And, I'm like, man, I need to be up. What if something happens? If you're a parent, do you ever struggle with that? Do you ever struggle with worry? Do you ever worry if something's going to happen to your kids, regardless of how young they are or how old they are, right? And my wife has a saying, and I love this saying. It says, hey, listen, if you're going to pray, then don't worry. And if you're going to worry, then don't pray. And so I just choose to pray and not worry. So when I turn my phone on airplane mode, the next morning, I don't turn that phone off of airplane mode until I am done with my morning routine. Because what happens, friends, when your phone, when you turn your phone on in the morning, right? It's like ding, bing, emails coming through, Facebook notifications, text messages, all those different things. And I know how important it is to get my mind right for the day. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tackle these things. And also, if you want this list, okay, all you got to do is you can go to my website at curtdtucker.com, and you can actually download this as a free gift. Also, this is very laid out in my book, The Champion Life Playbook, where literally I detail this in very detail to share with you how I go about each one of these things. Okay, so top 10 ways to win your day, or win your morning so you can win your day. Number one is prayer. For me, guys, that is just so foundational. As I want to get up. And what does prayer look like for me? Prayer is just communicating with God. For me, it's just giving thanks for my life. It's seeking wisdom. It's asking for, guidance for the day, the things that I'm working on. And that's it. That's prayer for me, right? That's just communicating, having a conversation with God, saying thanks, okay? Second is devotion. I love to get into the Word of God so that I can get wisdom. And a lot of times people are like, well, where do I even start when it comes in my morning routine to reading Scripture? I don't know where to start, right? And so for me, where I started many, many years ago with my mentor was he said, just read a proverb a day. Think about that for a second. If you've ever got into the word, a proverb a day, there's 31 chapters in the book of Proverbs written by King Solomon, known to be one of the wisest men to ever live. So each day, how easy is it to take 2 minutes and literally read through a proverb to gain wisdom? Or maybe you just start in the Gospels, or just for me now at this point, I just kind of open up the Bible and land on a place and I just read. And here's one thing, can I encourage you if you're listening to this, is this book is not a religious book, friends. This book is the best leadership book ever written, in my opinion. Okay. There is so many stories of overcomers, of wisdom, of people that have tried and erred. And, obviously there's the truth that, will serve you in your life if you're willing to read that. And so as I begin to go through devotion, I just treat that time as time to read. So if you really think about it, how long does it take at this point? Two simple things: to do a 60-second prayer and, maybe a 5-minute, to 10-minute devotion where I'm reading a chapter. Because one of the things that I will have people say, and think about this, maybe you've used this excuse, right? Is I just don't have time. And I can share with you that this morning routine sometimes for me may need to be 15 minutes, depending on if I have an early morning flight or something's going on. Sometimes it can be 30. I like to have it as an hour, okay? But it doesn't matter because it's more about you being consistent with doing things that are going to set you up for your day to have success, right? And so if it's an hour of power one day, awesome. If it's 30 minutes another, or sometimes maybe it's only 15 minutes because I got up late or whatever. So devotion is so huge, all right? Next step is journaling. I don't know about you, but you won't be able to see this if you're listening to the audio, but if you're watching me on this video, if you look behind me, I've got about 30 something journals here that from the last 12 years of my life, pretty much every day I have journaled. And I don't treat a journal as like a diary as much as I treat that journal, and I carry one journal with me everywhere I go, every place I've ever traveled, whether it's across, over the seas to Rome, it's a vacation on a cruise, it's wherever. That journal goes with me because in that journal is where I have everything, my goals, the things I want to accomplish, key meetings, if I go to a seminar, if I'm taking notes, if I have, a different thought, if it's in my morning devotion and I'm getting downloads of wisdom, I want to capture that all in one place. And I will do a specific episode someday on how I do that more in depth, because that has been a game changer. But I want to take 5 minutes to write down the things that are on my mindset that morning, so that, I now have a direction of focus, right? So I've covered 3 things, right? Prayer, devotion, and journal. That is typically like my first 10 minutes, 15 minutes on a typical morning, okay? Once again, it's not about how much time you take, it's just doing it. So now, guys, I go on to gratitude. Okay, gratitude, in my opinions, is the antidote to all negativity. I want you to think about that for a second. If you struggle with a negative mindset, if you struggle with doubt, if you struggle with, complaining sometimes, right? I know for me, for many years, I could get into the mode of nothing's ever good enough, right? And I begin to start understanding and studying and realizing the importance of gratitude. And so I've built that into my daily morning routine where every day I will think about 2 or 3 things that I'm grateful for. So I want you to think about it real quick. As you're driving, as you're watching this, what's one thing that you're grateful for? Is it your faith, your relationship with your Creator? Is it, your spouse? Is it your kids who are healthy? Is it the home that you live in, the business that you've been blessed with? Is it the fact that, it's cold here in Ohio right now as I'm recording this, and I walked downstairs the other day and I saw that the heat was set at 70 and it was nice and comfortable at home. And I immediately just said, God, thank you. So what are you grateful for, friends? All you got to do is take a second, think about that for a second. Gratitude is the antidote of all negativity. If you're struggling with your thoughts, if you have some fear, some worry, some doubt going on, just stop for a second and ask yourself, what am I grateful for? So I like to write those things down in my journal, okay? I am statements. I believe that I am statements create the vision for your life, okay? So I'm going to give you one example on this that I created many, many years ago when I was struggling as a husband, as a father. I felt like I had just completely failed my family, like I shared with you guys on episode 1 of this podcast, where, after you deal with, sex addiction and drugs and alcoholism, and you bankrupt your family and, all those different things, you can really begin to start having a mindset that is not leading you down the right path. And so I knew that I needed to begin to start creating a vision for my life. And part of that is by having I am statements. So one of my I am statements that I have in my journal, and I just have these, so I don't need to write them down every day. I just have them in my journal. But one of my most powerful I am statements is that I am a loving and encouraging husband, father, and leader. For many, many years, I didn't believe that. And I totally believe that we are transformed by the renewing of our mind, by what we focus on. And the more that we focus on something, the more that we believe it to be true. So if you're focusing on things right now that are not getting you what you want more of in your life and your marriage and your business, then you got to be able to flip your focus. And what I did was I began to start creating these I am statements that I would write in my journal, that I would literally just go ahead and have them, typed up on a Google Doc, put them into my journal, where at any time of the day, whether it's first thing in the morning in my morning routine, maybe I had a sales call during the day that doesn't go my way, I'm struggling with some doubt or whatever, I can immediately open up that journal and have those I am statements. And if you want a list of my complete I am statements, check it out. It's in my book, where I put every single one of my I am statements, from I am healthy, wealthy, and wise, to I am a loving and encouraging husband, father, and leader, to, wealth ones, and all different things, because I 100% believe that what you speak after I am is so powerful in your life. Okay. So the last thing that I do as a part of this kind of second section of my morning, right, is meditation and visualization. Now, for me, this isn't something that I've got to meditate for 45 minutes and, all that stuff. I don't have time for that. And I'm sure you're probably thinking the same thing. Like, I don't have time to just sit around for an hour, so my form of meditation in the morning is just taking 2 or 3 minutes to just close my eyes and literally take some deep breaths in and out, all right, for about 3 or 4 second hold. And as I'm meditating, I just meditate on the goodness in my life. I meditate maybe on a scripture. I ask God to give me some wisdom to, align my mindset where it needs to be at for the day. Maybe I send some love to some people in my life for the day, and different things like that. So that is my form of meditation that I like to do, to just quiet my mind for a second after I've went through the gratitude, the I am statements, to really just think about who I am and who I desire to be as a man, as a husband, as a leader, right? Okay. In the visualization part is I'm such a believer in visualization. For years, I've had vision boards because I understand, once again, as my wife Rachel says, you steer where you stare, right? So think about that. When you're driving down the road, have you ever been driving down a road and next thing you know, and I get in trouble for this all the time, by the way, guys, I don't know if you get yelled at by your wives when you're driving, but I certainly do all the time. But have you ever been driving down the road and next thing you know, something off to the left or the right catches your eye? And you begin to start staring at it. And next thing you know, naturally what happens is the car begins to move to the left or to the right, right? Well, that's what happens in life. So, as you visualize, as you begin to focus on certain things, naturally you begin to go in that direction. A lot of that has to do with your reticular activating system. And we'll talk about that, another time. But, what happens is when we have a clear vision and we can begin to start focusing on it on a daily basis, multiple times a day, what happens is we become more aware of those things. Okay. Let me give you one example real quick. For many, many years, there was a specific car that I wanted. Once I made that decision that I wanted that car, okay, I began to start noticing it everywhere. Everywhere I was driving, I would see that car. It was a white Corvette. Like I would see it. There's a white Corvette. There's a white Corvette. There's a white Corvette. Like all the time. It was because it was on my vision board. I looked at it every single day as I was, walking on the treadmill in my morning routine, all these different things. And naturally it just started to appear all the time. And I believe that if you're willing to take 2 or 3 minutes in your morning time and you're just begin to start visualizing more about what you want in your life and less about what you don't want. So when you get a picture of what does your ideal perfect, marriage look like? What does your new body look like? What does your relationship with your kids look like? What does your business look like? How much money are you earning? How much money are you giving to your church? I love to visualize the check that I'm going to write and the people that check is going to bless, right? So I visualize those things so that I can see those things, because guess what happens is when you begin to visualize the right things, it makes you feel good, and it literally floods your body with different, healthy things. So, if you think about it, this way is I want you to begin to start, creating a habit of meditation, visualization, where you can begin to start seeing things in your life, as real, and you will begin to start naturally moving in that direction. Okay. So now we're kind of wrapping it up. We're landing the plane. And, as I begin to start going into exercise time, all right, because every day I love to get a workout in my morning time before I get my day started. That is where I will typically do about a 10 to 15 minute warm up on a treadmill before I hit the weights. And that's where in my journal, I have my goals written down, generally my 12-week goals. And I just review those goals daily for that 10 minutes as I'm on the treadmill. So once again, think about this is what I'm doing is what's called net time, no extra time. I'm building certain things in to my day so that, I'm doing them together as one. I'm multitasking. Now, there's certain times where you want to multitask and there's certain times where you don't. But as I'm walking on the treadmill, that's an easy time for me. And many times if I am short for time, okay, but I know I'm going to get a workout as well, guys, I will just choose to do certain things like my I am statements, like reviewing my goals while I'm on that treadmill for 10 minutes. That just makes it easy for me to review those things, because every single day I want to review my goals and know, what am I working towards? What do I need to get done today? I firmly believe that, having goals in your life, but not just writing down something that you want, say December 31st before the new year starts, but writing those goals down and reviewing them, not just once a year, not just once a month, not even just once a week, but reviewing them every single day will lock you in, and help you 100% get the best, results. So I build that goals in as I get my exercise in for the day. And many times, guys, it is literally a 20 to 30 minute workout. That's it. A 20 to 30 minute workout, hitting some weights. Of course, if you've got 45 minutes to an hour to get a workout in your morning or whatever, and I may do some weights later on in the day, many times in the early morning, it's just 15 to 20 minutes of some HIIT cardio to really get going. And we'll talk about that on an exercise type of thing. And then the last thing that I want to go over with you is just the importance of, reading 10 pages a day. That's a part of my morning routine. I love to open up a good book, read 10 pages, which literally takes probably 5 minutes. And then, man, I am set and ready to go for the day. Go get me some good nutrition, and I'm ready to rock and roll for the day. So I want you to think about this for a second, friends, is as you are listening to this, as you are going about life, as you're going about, life in your marriage or in your business, what are one or two things that you can implement into your life right now based upon what we just talked about that would probably have the greatest impact? Maybe you're already spending time in devotion right now, but you don't write things down, right? I've always heard, never trust your fortune, to your memory. When we write things down, it makes a huge impact, or, hey, maybe you're struggling with some doubts, some fears, and here's the crazy thing is I know some highly successful entrepreneurs, multimillionaires, that when we have conversations, one of the things that we can share about and talk about is the struggle of doubt. Okay. So it really doesn't matter where you're at. What they've just learned and figured out is that how to overcome that doubt, how to overcome that fear, many times with faith, many times with just massive action, many times with just courage, right? That's what courage is. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's feeling the fear and doing it anyway. Okay. That's another reason why exercise is a part of my daily routine every single morning, because I understand that, energy comes from when we get into motion. All right. So I know that if I just get my body moving and grooving, man, I'm going to feel good. My body's going to start to release all these good hormones. And next thing you know, man, I feel so much better and I'm ready to rock and roll. So, hey, friends, I want to encourage you to implement some of these things into your morning routine. Take some time. Create 15 minutes in your morning, maybe 30 minutes, maybe an hour if you want to. I would encourage you, if you're not doing anything, start with 15 minutes, and trust me, you will begin to start falling in love with this time, and you'll start to see that, it'll turn into 30 minutes or whatever. And do one or two of these things, or do them all, whatever works best for you. And once again, if you want this list, it's in my book. It's also on my website where you can literally check it off. This isn't something that I just started being able to knock out all these, every single day. Many times I'll have people say that, like, I just don't have the ability to do all this. Hey, listen, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? Begin to start implementing one or two, and then begin to start stacking these things day by day by day, and watch what happens. I believe that it'll be a game changer. So, hey, take a second, go, grab this list. If you didn't write it down, grab it from my website or check out my book. I believe you'll be glad. There's a lot of other awesome stuff in here, because here's the deal is when you learn to win your morning, friends, you create that foundation for your day. Okay. When you win your morning, you will win your day. All right. I promise you, it's going to make a huge difference. So, hey, thank you so much. We'll see you guys on the next episode, and God bless.